And with this background, today's subject matter of discussion is really very relevant. It is relevant for the employers, for the employees, for the corporates, for the non-corporates, for the voluntary for bodies, for commercial bodies, and everyone. So it has a requirement as far as all kinds of organizations. And today's speaker, Mr. Sham Lata, has an excellent uh, experience of 20 years in this field and has a very uh, good profile. Ryan will introduce him, and he's avid marathoner. So I'm sure he already told me that he has already started. Lockdown is over more or less, and therefore he has again started running and practicing for the marathon. And I wish him all the best, and pass it on to Ryan to introduce him formally and then take it forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Suhasbhai, for that wonderful introduction. I think it was an amazing flame to the entire session that we can, take forward. So going ahead, of course, the man needs, requires no introduction. But as our procedure goes, we need to introduce the speaker. So here goes. So a powerful presenter with an energetic speaking style, Sham Lata inspires and motivates his participants to produce lasting change. Sham has an experience of more than 20 years in the field of soft skills training and people development. He has provided soft skill and behavioral training in different industries such as IT, finance, pharmaceutical, and healthcare companies. To name a few of the many companies are Tech Mahindra, Deloitte Consulting, Accenture, EDS, Gold Shield, Intelnet, Bowler, etc. Sham is affiliated with the Bombay Chartered Accountants Society and the Institute of Company Secretaries of India and conducts regular programs for members and staff. He has also conducted several international training and facilitation processes in Dubai and UK. Sham is an accredited trainer for DISC profiling and Delbin's team role. He conducts various workshops on varied subjects like presentation skills, effective time management skills, managing stress, communication skills, customer service, achieving excellence at work, effective teamwork, public speaking, negotiation skills, and some of the likes. His profound public speaking abilities have bestowed him with a lot of accolades, and he has been facilitated by the ex-governor of Maharashtra, P.C. Alexander, in 2002. Sham is an MBA from Australia and has also completed his master's degree in psychology. He is also a qualified company secretary and an LLM. His rich experience in industry, his public speaking and interpersonal skills makes him a distinctive trainer. To add more, Sham is an ardent marathoner with more than 55 full marathons, 67 half marathons, and 23 ultra marathons across the world. I think some of us would have only counted those as burgers, but he has counted them as marathons. So here's to an amazing speaker and a fit and amazing speaker. Let's put it that way. So let's put our hands together for Shamji. We welcome you, Sham.
Thank you, Ryan, for a wonderful and long introduction, I must say. Thank you, Suhaji, for your kind words as well. Thank you, Gracie, Bilal, and all the panelists, of course. And in addition, I must also thank all the participants who have taken their time out and being there today. So we come to the topic today, right? And what's that? I think more or less it's not just the HR who would be interested to know about today's topic, but certainly also the employees and other employers, right, of each and every organization or businesses. They would be interested to know. Well, I had a chat with Gracie almost, I think, a month and a half back, I think. And that's the time Gracie did mention gracefully that, why don't you take this topic of compensation during the COVID time? So that made me ponder a little bit. I said, great topic, of course, but how can I probably package it a little more? How can I possibly include, because compensation somewhere, as per my understanding, is just a micro aspect of the total rewards which we are talking about, which an employee or a person working in an organization is expecting. Now, if that be so, then why don't we take the entire gamut of rewards itself? So, the topic or title probably suggested by me to BCS was the impact of total rewards on total rewards during pandemic, and that's today's topic. So, not wasting much of time, let us straight away jump to the topic, of course, and let's make this entire, I would say, session an interactive one, because of course I can possibly keep going on speaking, but I'm sure some people will have some suggestions, some people may have certain questions, somebody has curiosity, queries, whatever. So I think chat mode is good, and our efficient moderator Ryan is already sitting there. So he will help me out and help a participant out as to how do we go about taking questions or possible queries. But of course, most of it will be at the end of it. But nevertheless, if I happen to ask certain questions, or possibly if I need to get the session a little interactive, I would expect support from the audience as well. Thank you. So with that, I'll just straight away go to share screen, and that's where okay. Pandemic, its impact on total rewards is the topic for the day. Let's first understand, prior to getting into the topic itself per se, let us understand what was the scenario pre-COVID days. Okay. I'll not get into detailed statistics, of course, certainly, but nevertheless, let's touch in some of the numbers. Unemployment showed that it was 6.7% pre-COVID, and suddenly on 19th April, to be precise, it showed 26% as per Wikipedia information. And then, of course, you had, it got back to 7% in July. So obviously the reason being, sudden lockdown, completely standstill. So you had certain people not being employed in certain sector, except essential services, of course. And then, of course, when things started moving again slowly, we started unlocking things. We got into 7%. During lockdown, even I was amazed to see this stat of 14 crore people almost lost their jobs. Okay, many employees had to go with a pay cut as well during that time. Now, why did this happen? It happened obviously because of the fact that, businesses, when they came to a standstill, they had to take a decision for the welfare of the business, of course, and businessmen are not running a charitable organization. So they have to obviously look at their interest and see whom they can retain back, or possibly some of them will be asked to go. So some people lost their jobs, some people were hanging loose as the times will become better, they'll probably get jobs, but they didn't get back. And so this was a situation during lockdown. Of course, we are a big population, so obviously with a big number, this number also is looking bigger. Slowly and steadily, of course, a lot of people would have recovered the job back or probably gone into some other segment, but that's a different topic altogether to be taken. We'll not get much into, but these are some of the basic stats which I'm sharing. A lot of big companies like Tata Motors, Larsen & Toubro, Ultratech, Grasim Aditya, Birla, Bharat Forge had temporarily suspended and significantly reduced operations. Now, what does that really mean? As to it clearly shows that these companies, some of them, of course, were not doing that well even pre-COVID days. For example, automobile sector. Compared to last year, they were not as profitable as they were. Tata Motors had a bad quarter, okay, and on top of it, we had pandemic. So obviously, pandemic accelerated the factor where production got stopped and they had to suspend the operation, and because of that, a lot of people left the job. I also know that somewhere down the line, even some of the dealers had to shut their shop of Tata Motors. So those were the grim situation at that moment. L&T, of course, also had to lose a lot of staff because, obviously they have to look into redundancy factor. And so some of the other companies. So this kind of made things a little difficult for these companies, but of course, being giants, they are cash rich and probably be able to sustain for a certain time. Very interestingly, I'm sure that some of you would have also seen the interview of Rahul Bajaj from Bajaj Auto. He was, up to a certain extent, he was fine with the lockdown, but he was always propagating the fact that, how long are we going to really take this through? Because at the end of the day, it's not the welfare of me or an organization, it's the welfare of the employees as well, right? Because if this continues for a long period of time, then obviously, I'll have to ask some of the people to go. And I have to also, I'll be compelled to cut the salaries, which I don't like to. So, how are we going to sustain? Of course, things started opening up and regular businesses started later on, but he was a little apprehensive in the month of May, if I'll be precise. I saw a couple of interviews in different channels where he was speaking about that. Now, if that being the case, so obviously the stats which we just saw earlier, something like unemployment and how many people losing their jobs, seems to be true, right? So that was the scenario pre-COVID and during COVID in terms of economic. I would say that, just to briefly cover that. But yes, more specifically, some industries which really got impacted by COVID-19, as we know, most of the industries which really got impacted, number one comes to airline, because all the transportation was completely shut. Even today, it's not become normal, right? Because if I have to go from Bombay to Calcutta, I'll not be able to. There's no flight operating from there. So if operations are not normal, it's a loss. Anyway, we are aware airline industry with such thin margins it operates. It's a difficult industry to be in. I'm sure all esteemed chartered accountants are there. They know better facts and figures than me, and how they, with the oil prices daily fluctuating, and it's not in favor of industry, especially in our country, because obviously taxes and duties are higher. Now, with that kind of scenario and sudden lockdown where they are not able to operate at all, so that industry will be hit to the head, right? And a lot of people lost the opportunities in that sector, of course, and a lot of salaries cut have happened. They are really running into losses, I must say, with some normalcy coming in now, but still it's a long way to go for them to recover. And we don't know if a couple of them may have to take a call in terms of shutting it, unless until, of course, I'm sure government will be intervening and seeing to it that they are doing well. But nevertheless, that's the scenario of airline. Hospitality, hotels, we are aware that is not still operational, except the fact that they are giving stays to who all? Frontline workers at times, the people who are being quarantined at times, some of the cities, and of course resorts, as we know that some of the cities is being used as politicians having holidays there, right? So that being the scenario. Restaurants, we are aware that most of it are not operational, except the fact that takeaways and other areas they are operating with. But of course, that really affects the employee situation. Why? Because the waiters working in a restaurant will not be able to serve the customer. So obviously they are losing out on their salaries, on their benefits, whatever they get from that sector. So a lot of people would have lost their job as well. Education, certain sector, I would say, still doing all right, because online classes are on, but nevertheless, small-time coaching classes are still having and facing those challenges. Private tuition, especially, where a tutor used to call students or used to come to the house. These private sectors, of course, certainly hit badly. Film industry, films are not being released, that the theaters are shut, shootings have not resumed completely. So, of course, again, another industry to be hit. Telecom industry, on the other hand, has got positive impact, right? Because the maximum thing in terms of communication, what we are using is certainly mobiles, or possibly how are we having a seminar today or sessions today is through Zoom. So this is an industry which has got positive impact. Revenue generation should be higher. Of course, in terms of cellular industry, as we know that it was a boon in a way, possibly because if at all they are earning revenue now, because earlier they were not doing that great except a couple of them. Hospitals and healthcare, again, hospitals were stressed initially. Why? Because of the fact that, you know, their OPDs and normal checkups and the normal treatments were not being done that time. And financially, they are also earning from elective surgeries, not really, you know, the generic surgeries which you used to conduct. So these are the challenges which is still being faced. Of course, slowly, steadily it's opening, but as we know that because of COVID, hospitals were also being, you know, used mostly for that purpose, and the government had to intervene and get certain beds reserved, things like that. So these were, of course, the challenges. Okay, let's look at, from now coming to the core of the topic slowly and steadily. Okay, what are the primary concerns of employees when this kind of situation happens? Okay, when we are looking at certain situation which is completely unprecedented. We never expected a pandemic to come in place, right? We never expected that Corona will be, you know, a household name, and even India will have to look at that. When was the last time we saw such pandemic? At least we didn't see. Our ancestor would have seen that was in possibly in 1918, and lasted for 2 years, Spanish flu, I believe, right? So that after that, and that was a different era altogether. Today, with so much of scientific development, science around us, we have all sort of luxury, but we are still helpless. What does that show? So there, somewhere we are vulnerable, and so are the employees. Now, number one is an employee in an organization or a firm would be first concerned that will they still be employed, their job security. With this kind of situation currently existing, anyone and everyone is scared. If today I am an employee of an organization, I'll also have that certain feeling, right? Because am I still going to have my job? Okay, or possibly from compassionate ground, they may be hanging me loose till for some time. But what once the pandemic is over and when things started getting back, you know, possibly they may lay me out, right? Because now from the generosity point of view, they may still keep me, right? So those are insecurity which comes in an employee. That's very natural, because, you know, it's not that you're sitting, you have certain expenses, you have certain lifestyle, and with such sudden acts coming in, you start getting a little worried about, you know, your security. So that's the insecurity which an employee will face. Income security, of course, what they see, will their income enable them to meet their normal living expenses? Obviously, if they lose a job or if the salary is cut, right, what happens next? So are they really able to sustain their lifestyle, what they're having, or they'll have to cut corners? If they have to cut corners, where do they cut first? So these are uncertain mindset, you know, which people are having currently. And so I would say also to add with even an employer starts thinking that, because an employer will come to that later, but nevertheless we'll look into employees' mindset first. Health security, again, another concern. What happens if they or a member of family gets sick from the virus or need direct personal care? Now, who's going to help? Is the HR of the company really going to help me? Is the employer really going to help me? How are we going to take steps? What if I don't have, what if my parents don't have an insurance? What next? You know, how am I going to sustain with that kind of expense, the viruses? So these are certain very natural and very realistic kind of concern an employee will have, right, at the end of the day, because it will kind of bother him where it's coming to. Just to make things a little lighter, of course, you know, this is a topic, I'm sure we can get very technical with that also, but I thought that possibly let us also have some fun on that. So Ted, I need you to train the new hire how to do job. These are some Gilbert jokes. I'm sure you would probably would have come through also. I need you to train the new hire how to do your job. So what does he say? Are you firing me? No, no, just standard cross training. Okay, I was worried for a second there, and start tidying up your cubicle, right? So these are genuine concerns what an employee faces. Of course, more of a pun, but it's a fact, right? Businesses cannot sustain each and every one, so they will also have to take a pragmatic approach going forward. So these were certain primary concerns of employees, which I thought of sharing with you all. Okay, now coming to the crux, total rewards. Again, another, I did nothing today and still got paid. Wow, I think things would be that easier, right? And we all could have really got that way. Now, before we really get into that, I would like to ask the participant, okay, now when we talk about total rewards, what do you think? I think Ryan will be able to help in terms of from the chat box, if at all we can share and get some messages over here from people as to what all can be included in total rewards. Total rewards for an employee. What all do you think can be included in that? Can I see some screen share and some chat boxes? If I'm getting some messages from there, anybody would like to share?
Yeah,
something?
you can probably raise your hand or something if you want to probably speak, then we can probably get you on the panel.
Yes. Anybody is wanting to share? Okay.
Nobody has.
Nobody else. Okay, great. No problem. We'll have a lot of other interaction later. But total rewards, what all does it include? Let us look at that. Now, first and foremost, it is clearly stating that total rewards comprise all the effort that an employer may, can, possibly does, can use in attracting, motivating, and retaining employees. Right now, for that matter, is it just the salary we are talking about or anything else apart from that? Of course, if you have to keep employees attracted, motivated, and of course you have to retain them as well, there are several factors which needs to be looked into, right? So total rewards will comprise of all. Of course, we'll get into much detail of what total rewards actually comprise. Now, to an employee or candidate seeking new employment, the notion of total reward includes perceived value as a result of the employment, right? So what could be a perceived value of an employee? An employee has certain perceived value. So is it just the salary he's looking for? Possibly not, right? It may be a package may be looking for. You know, there's a lot of factors which come into that. There are tangible factors and intangible factors, both for the individual and the organization. Okay, another on the lighter note, shared a joke. We pulled our bonus checks and got you this gift. So he's telling it's empty. Oh, better luck next year, right? That is not something which an employee will expect at the end of the day in total reward, right? So it does comprises of lot of things. Now let us look into details of what the tangible and intangible rewards would look like, right? Now, from the individual perspective as well as from an organizational perspective. Now, from an individual perspective, what do you think would be a tangible factor? Compensation, right? Because that's tangible, that's a salary or whatever you're receiving from the organization, from the wages or salary. Okay, from organizational perspective, the benefits, we will of course get into details of what we're talking in terms of compensation benefit. Growth and development from an individual intangible perspective, and the work environment from an organizational intangible perspective. Okay, now let's get into all these four factors a little more. Compensation, what all gets included? Your basic salary, your HRA, allowances, incentives on top of that, right? So when you're talking about compensation per se and looking at a tangible aspect of that as an individual, okay, an individual always expects that at the end of the month he will receive the salary, the HRA, allowances, whatever he or she is entitled to. Okay, the incentives. Now, what could be the incentive if you look at? Okay, incentives, of course, if you're into sales, you will have different kinds of incentives in terms of selling, commissions, or possibly some kind of incentive in terms of how you have achieved the target, so on and so forth. So those are various ways and means and incentives can be given. Annual bonus, of course. Annual bonus is something people very, very eagerly await, right, at the end of the year. So once your performance appraisal is done, you start expecting and anticipating a huge chunk is going to come. Okay, a lot of them are elated, elevated. A lot of them may be disappointed as well. It depends on how your appraisal has gone through. And profit sharing. Profit sharing, of course, as in, you have certain partners in the organization, you have certain profit sharing, depends on if you're a partner in a firm, if you're in a joint venture, how you're going to share that. So these are aspects which also look into. If some big four you're working for, you may be a partner, you may be having a profit sharing as well. So these are things which are included in compensation, which is of course a tangible aspect of an individual. Now looking at from an organizational perspective, what could be the benefits, right, which we just saw. Now benefits could be in terms of retirement. Now retirement, what do we mean? It could be provident funds, retirement benefits you may also get in terms of gratuity. Okay, you at the end of the year, at the end of your tenure, you receive all those kind of payments. So these are retirals which are individual and an organization is ready to do. Now, when we are saying about organization, we are talking of a group of employees. Okay, we are not just so individual is also part of organization. So it's not a separate entity altogether. So of course, these are benefits what they expect, whether it's retirement, number one, leave and holidays. Of course, you have different types of leaves you're associated and entitled to. So these are something you need to look forward, and then of course you expect that. And holidays, of course, it varies from different organization to organization. You have earmarked holidays, okay, or you may take some holidays by your choice. You have various kind of leave, whether it's sick leave, privilege leave, casual leave, so on and so forth. You are also at times entitled to certain insurance benefits. Okay, a lot of organizations also insure you for a particular amount, whether it's medical insurance, life insurance. So these are also some entitlement you get in terms of your benefit, and which are tangible benefits. Bus facility, right? A lot of people get the transportation to and fro. Of course, the COVID days, you're not getting that. Not everyone is getting that. And of course, bus and trains are more or less stopped, except the fact that PST and other may be flying. A certain bus facility may have been allowed also for certain employees, but at the end of the day, it's still the transportation is not fully opened up, right? So still the kind of employee turnout in the organization is not as much as what you'll see in normal days. So some organizations operating with 10% employees, some have raised it to 25%, but beyond 25-30%, I don't think anyone is operating currently. So depending on that is the kind of transportation you will avail. Possibly somebody have their own transportation. They avail. Bus facility is also a benefit which is given by the organization to its employees. Cafeteria, of course, more or less all the medium or bigger size of organization do have cafeteria facilities where the food rates are subsidized normally, and they may get Sodexo coupons or whatever the Zeta coupons and things like that. So these are benefits which are certainly provided in terms of, they can also have their food if they're not carrying in the cafeteria, or they can carry their food and have it in the cafeteria. They have facility of eating, right? These are also part of benefits. Wellness plans, of course, there are a lot of wellness plans, a lot of tailor-made plans, a lot of designs by different private organizations, private insurance organizations, I must say now, hospitalization expenses and a lot of other benefits from other wellness plans, where even your in-laws, your possibly dad, mom, your spouses, your brother, sister can get benefit from that. So this is also a very important benefit, and in today's day, it is a very important of a facility, I must say, or benefit an organization does provide to any employee, I must say, right? Because of the fact that everyone needs it, and everyone is, worried about this. What if somebody in the house gets COVID, right? And if you have to rush them to a hospital, now where does that finance come from? Do I have a wellness plan? Do my organization provide that? Okay, so these are concerns which are genuine concerns people are having, right? So based on that, it's certainly a very important and useful benefit which an organization provides. Okay, let's look at some intangible factor from individual perspective. Growth and development, a very, very important aspect, I must say, right? So, of course, salary and your tangible benefits are important. There's no doubt about it. Salary at the end of the day is money, right? So that is important. It's a very important motivator. In fact, if we look at Maslow's hierarchy needs, right? So we always know that that's also very prime important in terms of that. But with that, we also need to understand that there are rewards which an organization bestows upon its employees in terms of growth and development. And that's, I would say, if not more, it is equally important. Why is it important? Now, number one in that is training. Okay. Now, training initially, I would say 20, 25, 30 years back in organizational scenario was not something which was talked about. Okay, where because what happened is there was certain mandatory training, probably more so in technical. 25, 30 years back, behavioral training, only very few organizations used to talk about it. Okay. Of course, training, functional training is important. You need to train employee in all the aspects of what the functionality is. But with that, we're also talking about training which is behavior, whether it's various kind of soft skills, talk about. Why is it important? Because, this is also an attribute which will also probably look at the progression of an organization in a longer way, right? If you put a roadmap in front of for an employee, and 10 years hence, where is that employee? You're going to map that employee post 10 years. So it's not just the salary which will help him grow, right? At the end of the day, it's an overall growth. Now, overall growth only comes from the fact that you are imparting all kind of training needs which are required, all kind of development needs which are required. And how does that happen? That happens through interventions. Now, those interventions, one is, of course, as I mentioned, it's functional. So now an employee may not be that skillful in terms of using Excel. So that's something you would like to engage, right? You may get some experts, or through online, you may impart that kind of training, which of course nowadays lots and lots of it is happening through online, Zoom, webinars and things like that. But in addition to that, you also need certain soft skill development for an employee. Right now, what is it all about? Soft skill development is all about, if, say, for example, 5 years hence, an organization foresees an individual to be at a particular stage, or to gain a particular position. Now, for that position, you require certain skills, you require certain attributes, you require also certain attitude. Right now, what do you need to do for that? So you need to hone certain skills in terms of whether it's just knowledge, skill, or attitude of the person overall. And through that intervention is possibly you're expecting that person to reach that. And of course, map it on a regular basis. That's why growth and development from training perspective is very important. Career development and opportunities. Career development opportunities, of course, now, for example, somebody worked for 3-4 years in an organization. I'm just giving an example, right? Now, I remember my organization when I was working earlier that time, the pharma organization, and I was heading the L&D over there. Now, I distinctly remember, we had come out with a particular policy, whereas after 3 years of working in the organization, you are entitled to do a postgraduate. Okay, now if say a graduate pharmacist has joined in the organization, okay, now he needs to possibly look at his career growth. He may have an aspiration. He possibly wanted to do a management course. Why does he need to do that? Obviously, because as his experience grows in the organization, so will his position. With the position, of course, responsibility grows. And for the responsibility, he'll be managing people. For managing people, he needs certain management skills. And what best to offer him in terms of career development opportunities to probably allow doing an MBA. Now, he can enroll for an MBA in an institute on a part-time basis, and company slowly and steadily agrees to take that particular sponsorship, okay, in terms of sponsoring that candidate to do that. Of course, in terms of that, but there are different factors. Some may say that, okay, so over a period of time, from your salary, we may think of deducting. Now, there are various ways and means HR plans that. It's not that you'll get a chunk of money. Okay, the fees is 10 lakhs. Go ahead and do that, right? That's not the way they'll operate. There are various means and ways, but it's certainly a growth perspective. What an organization is looking for an individual. Why? In terms of career development. The organization sees that he's steadily growing, and so will his responsibility grow. And so we need that managerial skills. And how do we hone him? Probably send him for a course, and he's willing to go. So these are certain factors you look into career development and opportunities. Succession planning, of course, you look at various roles in the organization and where does one fit. And then again, according to that, the succession planning is being done by HR. So these are certain parameters where growth and development really fits in. Now let us look at organizational perspective. Right now, again, an intangible factor, but nevertheless important. Now, from an organizational perspective, when I say again, as I'm reiterating the fact, organizational perspective, that means employees' perspective again. Now, number one, work culture. Now, what kind of work culture is that? As we know, a lot of organizations have a very open work culture, okay, where things are very transparent. Especially a professional organization will mostly have work culture. Well, there are certain individuals who again possibly, indulge into, I may say, politics or things like that in the organization, so-called corporate politics, things like that. But then that is what actually counts. Whether that work culture itself is an inducive factor, a conducive factor, and an encouraging factor in terms of owning that employee and giving that reward per se as an intangible benefit. So work culture is very, very important. Again, I would like to share my organization because that's something, because, having worked earlier in other organizations, and when I came to this organization, it was an eye-opener. How was it an eye-opener? Because there the CEO himself, indulged in motivating each and every employee of the organization. First of all, an employee was never called an employee. An employee was called an associate in the organization. That itself is a motivator, isn't it? Secondly, every month there used to be in the major forum of the organizational corporate office, okay, there was a huge space. So people used to gather by default, everyone. And, there was a system where any employee can nominate anyone for even a smallest achievement he or she would have achieved. And there was a system generated a mail which used to come to every organization, and mandatorily they had to nominate somebody. So whomsoever they felt that even a slight improvement or slight, so you had certain rewards like, most improvement, you had most appreciated, the the best employee, things like that. There were 4 or 5 categories. So you used to put that employee in that particular section, nominate that he or she, and that person used to be felicitated by the CEO and each and every employee. So possibly looking at something like a 400-500 people gathering there and celebrating. So imagine the kind of motivation that person receives. Imagine the platform you're giving, the platform of encouragement, to that employee. So looking at that kind of a culture, will somebody take a decision to immediately leave? No. That will probably make that person very loyal to the organization. Why? Because the culture is very conducive. Culture is very motivating. Culture is always encouraging each and every behavior of that person. That means any significant improvement or non-significant improvement as well will relate to certain encouragement. So excellent. I think that was one of the great steps taken forward. And these are things which, anyone can in our organization also follow. Small, big, doesn't matter. Okay. Even if, say, for example, we have esteemed chartered accountants here, we have esteemed practitioners of chartered accounting, or we may have some corporate employees as well. So these are some things we can, in our own small way, certainly follow. A word of appreciation does go a long way. And that's important to be done because, if you want the employees to perform at the end of the day, it's not just the salary which will help you. It's not just at times just your retirement benefits and other benefits which will help you. It's really the culture which matters. And the culture should be conducive where, as an employer, you are regularly interacting, you are regularly encouraging, you are regularly seeing to it that that person grows. If that person grows, certainly your growth is entitled. Why? Because the organization grows. And again, in leadership itself, that is a true leadership, right? Because true leadership comes from the fact that you need to create leaders. It's not just by leadership when we say it's like Jawaharlal Nehru or Mahatma Gandhi. Those are not leaders. Or possibly you can talk about, okay, Sundar Pichai and Satya Nadella. These are leaders of the organization. They are leaders, agreed, right? No doubt about that. But certainly they have also done certain right things in their life, to become those leaders. Okay, so leaderships are through people. If you are a people person, if you can encourage them, if you can really show them motivating steps, if you can show them direction, you can show them career graph, you can show them the path they should lead to, well, you are a true leader. So that is actually an organizational reward if you go to see. Work-life balance again. Work-life balance in today's, I would say, scenario has gone kaput. Why? Because if most of them are working from home, it is a similar, it's either life balanced or imbalanced. Okay, so you probably, some of them say they have got fed up, at times in between they have to do certain household chores and so on and so forth. And obviously they're not traveling. See, work-life balance was you are equally devoting that kind of time at your workplace and also coming back and having your own life, personal life. Now, when you're working from home, it's good that you're not wasting time traveling, agreed. But from morning to evening, if you're in the house, both, maybe the employer and employee can take it for granted that, they are available all the time, right? Now, if that being so, is it really going to create work-life balance? Is a question I put it on you. Okay, so you need to think about it. Well, according to me, work-life balance is also going out and working and coming back. Okay, unless until you are Hercules, okay, you can balance everything properly, because if you're in the house, you are also vulnerable, mind you, in quotes. So those are aspects one need to consider. But of course, we will be coming back to the normalcy in some maybe more months or maybe a year. I don't know when. We can't predict that, but nevertheless, we should have. Now, work-life balance is something also important. Recognition, as I've already mentioned in work culture itself by giving an example, that recognition of any employees to an organization is important, is intangible. If you don't recognize anybody, you always keep criticizing somebody and not recognizing. a person, when I say a person, an employee, you can take it, grows from the platform of recognition. If you are able to recognize somebody, you're also able to encourage that person. You're also able to empower that person. And that person will go all the way to see that your work gets done in a very efficient manner. But these are aspects you certainly need to inculcate, in an organizational perspective. So total rewards, essentially, friends, is not just about, giving salary or benefits, so on and so forth. It's a package, I would say. And it's a package which will incorporate each and everything, whether it's compensation, whether different kind of benefits, it's growth and development, and the entire work environment. Now, work environment is also another aspect I would like to add. There is, how people are trying to make this interesting. Now, as people are working from home, of course, we may touch this little later also. A lot of organizations have derived methodologies as to they are having certain yoga sessions, and for employees they're having certain yoga session at a particular time, certain exercise sessions, certain other sessions from somebody who's running a marathon, for example. They may have certain marathon trainers coming in. So I've seen a lot of these webinars going around, by a lot of organizations or a lot of institutes. So these are also ways and means to kind of, help people go, make the work-life balance happen as well, because since they're working from home. So these are 4 aspects which I thought, I would cover under total rewards. And I think this kind of encompasses and it comprises of entire reward system in an organization. Okay, now
I think Shyam, one question has come in. Maybe you would like to take it. I think so. One is, I think, where you briefly touched over it is, from the perspective of small professionals. I mean, a lot of the people who are on this, list are having their own CA firms, maybe a small-time CA firm. So how would that situation be a little different in such cases?
I will. Yeah, it will. As I said, I'm talking macro. Okay, why? Because we are looking at a larger picture of organization per se. Of course, when you get down to micro and you look at people having their own firm, they're probably practicing chartered accountant, the staff strength of 10, 20, 30, 40, 100, whatever that may be. Now, there, what happens is things more or less remain the same. Okay. Yes, but of course, the list of benefits or the list of compensation, list of growth and development and work culture may reduce. Right now, if you look at this, now work environment has to be conducive. Okay. Now, how do you make a work environment conducive? Is it that if you're having less people who are working for you, okay, can't you make that work environment conducive? You can certainly, right? Because if you are completely trying to motivate people, each and every person in their own respect, of course, when you have chosen them, you have empowered them to work in a particular profile, you have made them work in a particular vertical. Now, when they are doing that, okay, you're time and again motivating them, recognizing them. Okay, you're planning some kind of a training for them. Say probably they need some help in terms of Excel skills, right? They may not be that strong. So you could help them in their growth and development. And of course, compensation and benefits, whatever you have designed, if you're having less number of employees, you could have your salary, HRA allowances, whatever that may be, and other benefits, whatever you're providing. Now, you may have PF certainly, and you may have gratuity at the end of the year. These are fine. These are more or less normal. But most importantly, as a small organization, you need to touch into the growth and development aspect and work environment aspect. A work environment, I also mean that, what if 4 or 5 people over there, okay, don't like one particular employee in a small organization, right? There is a possibility it could be after his life, his or her life, whatever, right? There is a possibility when we talk about corporate politics and things like that. Now, by subtle remarks or something. So these are things should be slowly discouraged. So that falls into work environment to me. Then again, at times we take our employees for granted. Okay, what happens is, oh, they are working in this particular vertical, they are working efficiently, keep working. We never find a need. I'm talking specifically about small organizations, Ryan, because your question was specifically to that. Now, over there, we may miss out the whole idea of developing that employee. Okay, in terms of whether the training needs are there, whether you think this person can be made even more efficient through certain interventions from external sources. Okay, so these are things, and these are also rewards. Why? Because it goes a long way. Now that person will immediately realize, yes, the management or the employer is thinking about me, right? When you go ahead and probe certainly, okay, how are you doing in this? You have any problems? You have any difficulty? Or I feel, how about you go under a leadership post, possibly? You may be a key person. You may think that, okay, he may come into a leadership position little later. So you may possibly think of sending that person or probably getting somebody on board to train the person in leadership skills. That's something. These are just certain examples what I'm the ways and means how you could help those people grow. Okay, so it's not just about a big organization which is having a bigger budget looking into that, but in your own small little way, you can do certain intervention which will certainly help even the smallest of organizations. I remember there was a particular organization I was a part of way back late 90s. Okay, it was a small organization with in Mumbai a staff strength of that time, I think 12 or 15 that time. But the management was so proactive. They also thought about sending even each and every individual, whatever level they were of certain training programs. I'm talking about late 90s, mind you. 98, 99 is the year I'm talking about. So at that time, a small organization with a small staff strength can think of, why can't we think of? I know chartered accountants are very busy people. Okay, there's no doubt about that. Okay, especially audit keeps coming, everyone is running and everything. But there may be certain time which could be leaner period also. Okay, now there you may be busy, but I'm sure there could be some time removed out for each and every employee working in your organization to make them do some intervention, maybe some kind of fun activity, doesn't matter. When I say growth and development, doesn't really mean that you have to have some kind of a very serious training program. When we are looking at, you could just have a fun activity, maybe you can get an external person who could make the thing very lively, that they had a good, you can probably send them for a outdoor training mode. So these are the ways and means, you can, and you could possibly join as well as an employer. So these are various ways and means you could look at, filling that gap in terms of growth and development and work environment. Of course, compensation benefits is something which you will have to match with the industry in terms of rewards per se. That's something it's individual, I would say. It's not really, something I could suggest or anybody else could suggest about that. That's the norm which they don't need to follow. Does that kind of answer the question, Ryan?
Yeah, so I think this question was raised by Pravin. So I believe, I think you've covered it up very well. There is another question which is raised by him.
Sure.
It's a mix of total rewards and maybe the next section, which is compensation. So I'll read it out. Maybe while you're covering out the thing, we can also take that up. So in organization like ours, that's what he says. Training part is very important for article students. They are good, honest, but unable to deliver results in the COVID scenario. So should we continue to pay the same amount? That's his first question. Secondly, HR theories work in good times. How to handle remuneration to staff? Do employees expect to delve into reserves of employer, that is past profits, or he can show empathy for present bad business environment and current laws?
Okay, Van, I'll break this into two different questions as they are two different, right? So
Yeah,
first one first is, do we need to pay the articles the same way we are, right? That's that's the first and foremost. See, if they're working for you and you have putting them under training as well, so you will also have to give them some chance, right? Some time as well. Now, articles are essentially, they're still students, most of it, as per my understanding. They are chartered accountant students, right? So if they are students currently and they are also engaged with article, I guess, see, primarily as we already first covered was compensation. Okay, so that's a major motivator. So if you are not going to be paying them, that will immediately, then and other parameters, okay, fall in last, right? So primarily you need to pay them if they deserve to be paid. I understand from the fact that you may be thinking the performance may not be going as per this, but let's try and understand, we are talking specifically from the point of view pandemic and COVID-19 days. Now these are some time we will, as far as they are working for you, you must take into consideration that they should be paid as per my understanding. Right now, today I'll give you an example. Not just me, but entire society of mine, and I'm sure most of the society and most of the people, in spite of not engaging their maid servants, okay, for this entire 3, 4, 5 months, whatever we have gone through, we have still paid them. Okay, at least my society and other societies, we have paid them, right? In spite of them just sitting in the house. Okay, so what does that show? That shows that, that is also a growth activity of yours. Why is it a growth activity? Because they will also understand, that goes a longer way. They'll understand that at the end of the day, when the bad times came in, my employer was with me. Okay, and that's a very, very important aspect one must understand. So it's very easy, you're not performing well, pandemic time, you may be doing some work, you're not that skilled, so I'll not pay you. Very easy that, right? So but here you need to have more of carrot than stick, in terms of carrot and stick approach, right? So I would still go ahead and say, I think articles shouldn't be, because anyway their salaries are not high. Okay, so how much are you going to pay anyway? So these are things you should oversee certain factors, and I believe you should still go ahead and pay. That is my personal opinion. I'm sure people may differ from that. That's all right, but that's my personal opinion because the question was asked to me. Right, Ryan? Okay,
Right.
second part, I'm sorry, you'll have to repeat it.
Yeah. So the second part was more on remuneration. I think one was HR theories work in good times. How do you handle remuneration to staff? So I think while that was covered in the first question, do employees expect to delve into reserves of employers, that is past profits, or he can show empathy for present bad business environment and current losses? So basically, I guess the question is more on empathy of employer versus empathy of employee.
Yeah, so empathy of employer has to be first, right?
Right.
Right. So yeah, now here again, at times we can get a little mixed up. Now what is empathy and what is sympathy, right? So these are two different things altogether. Now sympathy is of course more of showing your kindness and by gestures and means like that, whereas empathy is really getting into the shoes. Now what do we mean by that is, if you try and understand from an employee's perspective what is really happening on his or her side, okay, is what empathy is. You start relating with that person, the way he or she is thinking, you fall into the shoes of that person and start thinking. I always love to give an example. I'll just share this example because it's a very relevant example as well. Now, say for example, my friend calls me, okay, and tells me my father suffered a heart attack, a cardiac arrest right away. Okay. Now, there could be two reactions from my side. One is I felt very bad. Oh, really? Oh, I'm with you. Anything, let me know. Please call me. I'm there by your side and things like that. Right? The normal response. What would that be? That will certainly be being sympathetic with the person. So there's nothing wrong with that. But what if you would have taken things little differently? You would have told him, okay, what's your medical insurance number? I'll look into that factor. You just rush him to the hospital. Okay. Leave the rest to me. Okay. If you're in a position of doing that, and if you're doing that, you are really getting into the shoes of that employee, isn't it? Oh, sorry, friend. Now, if you're getting into that shoes of the friend, will that be a bigger consideration from your side, or just by verbal gesture will be bigger? So at this juncture, you being empathetic is you really going and helping that person out. Okay, not just by words, but by your actions as well. That is empathy, inclusive. But yes, now if you are located in United States of America, and your friend still calls you, he suffered a cardiac arrest. Can you really do anything much about that in terms of physical? So there you have to be sympathetic about it. Right? So there's nothing wrong being sympathetic or empathetic, but it's the timing which really matters, or the situations and circumstances which matter. Okay, now that is something you need to assess. Now, every employee would be going through certain challenges in today's era. Now, if you look at, you telling, okay, now I am being empathetic, but the employee is not being empathetic, is one way of looking at it. Okay. Now, first you have to show your actions, right, by being empathetic, if at all you're claiming to be empathetic or sympathetic, whatever that may be, and then look at what the response is. Yes, if the response is not positive, it's still going on, then you have to also further understand and investigate that why is that really happening. Is it happening because of certain attitudinal aspects of it? Is it that the work doesn't interest that employee? Things and that. You have to probe a little bit more, or possibly, as I said, attitudinal aspects. So can you do something? You as an employer will look into, can you do something about it? Whether some intervention can be done, whether attitudinal shift can be done a little bit. Okay, or possibly to perform the function, he doesn't have adequate knowledge or skills. So can you do something to, tackle that, possibly help him getting that requisite knowledge and skill? So these are something you have to introspect and look into. But when we blame somebody clearly and say, oh, he is not doing something, right? Why? Because I think so. You may be right, you may not be right. Okay, there are two aspects to that. Now, how do you come to know whether you're not right? Is through your introspection. You possibly have to look at the situation, what he or she is. He may be having a background. So have you kind of done a slight investigation in that matter before really giving a verdict out? Right? So it's that something we need to look at, rather than talking about, I'm being empathetic and that person is not being empathetic, is what I would like to say. Ryan kind of answers that.
I think that definitely answers.
Yeah, thanks. Anything else, or shall we move?
No, I think we can move to the next.
Okay, great. So we are still in total rewards. Okay, that's the topic. So we'll be there for some time. We'll not delve from there, right? So these are the four aspects which we thought. Now let's look into impact, what it has based on industry and financial muscle of company. Okay, now it's completely dependent on how the industry is placed in and what is the financial power that industry has. Now, what kind of impact will you have? Whether you have an impact when you have reduced the pay will have an impact to an organization. You'll become more cash rich possibly. Increased pay, of course, it will go into cash. Of course, it's proportionate to what your earnings are, definitely. But when you look at compensation per se, these are aspects which really impacts an industry. Whether you reduce the pay, by reducing the pay, of course, you all are chartered accountants, you all know best how does that really relates to costing, okay, and what are the financial implications of the organization when the pay is reduced, whether it needs to be reduced or not, number one, and whether the pay is going to be increased. Now, why are you going to increase the pay in certain situations? Of course, we'll come to it in the third point. Now, whether second point is you give any bonus to the employee, okay, or you have declared because of pandemic situation we are not operational, so no bonus. Or on the other hand, some organization may give COVID bonus. Okay, what if somebody in the family gets COVID, right? Or in a way contingency COVID bonus, right? Why are you giving that? It's another way of you trying to reward your employee. Okay, easy way is no bonus. Difficult but short encouraging way is giving a COVID bonus. It depends. Now, as I said, it depends on industry to industry, on the financial stability, on the financial positions. Okay, so that will completely depend on that. Again, coming to hardship allowances for working in factories, long hours. Okay, now these are certain allowances which have been coined during these times. Okay, hardship allowances for working in factories, long hours. Now, if you're working in factories, of course, you're endangering yourself because you're going to work. When 75 to 70% of people are still not going to office, you still may have to go. And at times there were even lockdown time. There were certain factories which were open. Why it was open? Because it was probably producing something essential, which was required during COVID time. Now, if it comes under essential services, like it could be manufacturing of groceries. Okay, so obviously somebody has to work there to produce certain goods, which you will at the end of the day be using it in the house. So this falls an essential category. Now, obviously you need to have workers in the factories, right? If there are workers, so you will have to motivate them to work in this pandemic time. They'll say, why should we go if you're not getting extra allowances, if you're not getting hazard allowance and things like that. So now these are allowances which are hardship allowances. You can coin in any other format you like. Different HRs will coin it in different format or different words they like to. The hardship allowance is essentially for working in factories and for long hours during this pandemic time as well. Or possibly if at all that sector is hazardous. Okay, sector is such, so you still have those allowances. Internet allowances are certain things which a lot of organizations are contemplating because people are working from home. So obviously there's the internet expense, which is a valid expense, right? People are working from home, so they're obviously using their personal internet and they have to pay monthly bills for that. So obviously depending on what sector they are and what positions they are, so they will be given that as allowances, which is additional. Maybe some of the companies are giving, some of the companies have assumed that employees benefit is not through that particular aspect, so we'll look into some other aspect. So these are optional again. It's not a mandatory provision which a company makes, but yeah, these are certain impacts which you can look in terms of compensation. Now, in terms of benefits, if you look at what is it that is being provided in terms of tangible benefits by organization, additional insurance, COVID cover. Okay, now additional coverage insurance is COVID cover. Mostly IRDA has announced that most of the companies, I think, are going to cover COVID in terms of the existing medical policies. Okay, the medical policies which are there, mostly it's going to be covered. But of course, certain insurance companies are coming up with certain new novel products like COVID coverage and things like that, which I'm sure you would have seen certain ads as well. So these are on and above if you want to take COVID cover. Now, additional insurance is provided by organizations to their employees in terms of COVID cover. Now, so that they can be rest assured that if at all they or their family members, anybody gets COVID and they have to be rushed to the hospital, now they'll be covered adequately, right? Is what they are kind of looking at. Now, at this time, of course, in terms of benefits, the impact has been that no bus, no gym facilities are available, right? So what is the organization doing in lieu of that, in lieu of not having these facilities? Online wellness programs, as I mentioned earlier, there are certain yoga programs happening, or there are employee assistance programs. That is, you can consult. A lot of organizations have developed that, so you can consult a psychologist. If at all you're going through certain stresses, you can speak to a counselor through employee assistance programs as well, right? So these are facilities a lot of organizations have provided. They have tied up with certain employee assistance companies who are kind of providing their help in terms of counseling and psychiatric or probably psychological services. Yeah, so and the second one is medical tie-up for doctors' pharmacies. So they have also tied up with certain doctors. So if at all you get some problem, you can call up their doctors or pharmacies for your general pharmacies to be available at your doorstep. So these are certain benefits provided by the organization to its employees. Right now here, of course, the larger organizations are looking at these possibilities. There are certain mid-size also which are looking at these kind of benefits being provided. But I understand there are certain constraints and limitations with small-time organizations or probably practicing firms, which may not be able to, deploy all the benefits available. As I mentioned earlier, all the compensation and benefits cannot be provided as cross-section. It is, of course, more or less related to all the big organization or mid-sized organization. But nevertheless, there are a lot of other things a small-time company or a private limited company, a partnership firm or a CA firm can look into that, right? So these are things which we can certainly look into. Importantly, impact on balance sheets. There, I think everyone's eyebrows goes up, right? Chartered accountants, impact on balance sheet. Now, when a compensation, you reduce the pay, increase pay, what are the impact on balance sheet? Okay, or no bonus, COVID bonus, what is the impact again? So all these allowances and benefits when you're doing, what are the impact on balance sheets coming in? You have to understand the expense or investment. Again, you have to review that, whether it goes in the expense aspect or investment. Okay, now when you're making a balance sheet, you need to understand where does it go. You all are the best people to segregate that and categorize, okay, whether it's short term or long term, expense or investment. Now you have to decide that based on it. But these are the real impacts in today's situation. Impact now on growth and development, the third aspect of rewards. How does that impact? Revisiting skills and competencies based on new business strategies and models. Okay. Now, in the pandemic time, everything more or less is working through online. Now, it is also a good time in a way, where you can revisit skills and competencies, okay, based on a new. Obviously, every businesses are formulating new strategies way forward now. Okay, now we were pre-COVID, we are during COVID rather now, and post-COVID. So they have to have certain business plans, business strategies for post-COVID situation as well. And that's where they'll come up with certain models, and for which they need to have certain skills and competencies also based on those factors. Now, when that being the case there, okay, what is likely in terms of impact? How is it going to impact your balance sheet again? Okay, now these are something which we need to also look into. Investment in online training. Now, certain areas, organizations are certainly saving costs, right? Your overheads have come down. How? Because physically you're not using the space. So if it's leased out, possibly your rentals, if you're able to negotiate with your lessor, okay, as a lessee, so you will obviously be paying lesser comparatively. Now, if you're paying lesser, so there's some cost saving is there. Now, where can you really invest that money in certain other aspects? So there are certain other areas. Now, how can you do that? You have to look at what kind of budget do you have and how can you invest in terms of online training. Now, this is an engagement from last 3-4 months, I have really found to be very prominent. Why? Because I have seen a lot of organizations, a lot of institutes. In fact, even Institute of Company Secretaries of India, I'm sure your institute, Bombay Chartered Accountants Society, has been doing so many webinars and seminars and online sessions, things like that. So these are nothing but they are investment, right? You are investing on online training, on sessions, so that at the end of the day, your members or your employees all are gaining out of that. Okay, so this is certainly a growth and development plan for your member or organization or your employees. And that is where you need to look into, okay, what kind of budget do you have? So can you increase, as an organization, can you increase the online training? Because obviously physical, it's not possible currently. And then to keep employees motivated as they are in-house currently, they may get at times stressed out with only work, not able to go out anywhere. So, can you make life a little easier for them? Why not just having online training, which is training per se, which is on the lighter mode as well. You could have something, a fun activity. Maybe at 1 hour, as I said, you could have something like a yoga training happening in the morning, or a probably book reading topic. I think you all did a session on book reading as well. Beautiful. That's certainly great ideas, to come across. So if people are diverted from the work environment and get into something lighter, so that's a good platform to encourage employees as well for growth and development. Again, promotions and movements rare and few, right? So as you see, the promotions, as you are doing very less nowadays, COVID times, the movements of people are hardly there. Okay, now how do you tackle that? What is the impact of that? So these are also certainly needs to be assessed and ascertained, and based on that, you need to look into a strategy. Work environment. As we have already talked about work environment, now culture. Okay, how will that? What will the impact on culture be? What are the key roles? Okay. Now, what do you look at people getting into different roles? Okay, how do you really reframe the culture of an organization in terms of leadership? Whether you look at decision making, direction, taking people together. These are aspects which also needs to be looked into when you are looking at impact on industry per se. As we've already dealt in detail, recognizing and applauding efforts, any opportunities gained by you to recognize or applaud anybody, don't miss it. As I said, that goes even a longer way than just by paying some money. So take that, as a particular effort from your end to recognize each and every person. Okay, if the person is performing, you will anyway should be recognizing and applauding. If the person is not performing, a recognition and encouragement, word of encouragement, may just turn the table. Okay, he may start performing. So these are things which you need to look into. How will that impact as well? Encouraging. Okay, whether it's creativity, innovations. How do you get from micro to macro? And now, when you're talking about encouraging, there could be creative ways and innovative ways how you could come ahead and do it. And not necessarily have to be physically present to kind of encourage people, right? You can always look at various different ways and means. Work-life balance, has it gone for a toss with work from home? As I mentioned, at times, yes, I still feel somebody may be still happy working from home, but again, it's a mixed feeling. But mostly by now, I think most of us are bored, right? Just working from home. So I'm sure some of us are going to offices also. But again, quite a few are still working from home. New ways of working virtually is something you need to look at. Of course, we have mastered in this like 4-5 months, but virtually everything is being done virtually nowadays, right? Whether any sessions or things. Again, their impact on balance sheet, right? You need to look at what your expense or whether it falls in the expense category or investment. See, for me, growth and development and work environment always falls on investment category. Okay, now of course we can delve deeper and get into what are the real expense in terms of growth and development and making the work environment conducive. Okay, that's something getting into the tangible aspect of looking at costing. But here we are talking about intangible aspects. So when intangible aspect we are talking about, these are very essential factors, whether it's the smallest of firm with some 5 employees, or it could be a large conglomerate with 5,000 people, right? This anyway has to work. It works in different parameters and different methodologies, that's fine. But at the end of the day, we need to also look at all these parameters falling in place, right? And what is the real impact of that is something you need to assess. Going forward is a big question, right? A lot of us are thinking, what is the new normal and things like that. Is chaos and disruptions the new normal? With more black swans. Okay, black swans, just to make it even more clear, some events which come with surprising and has a major impact and a significant impact, right? So black swans is a metaphor used rather. Okay, is chaos and disruption the new normal? Can companies make strategies from a long-term basis Okay, are the companies competent now to make strategy from a long-term basis? Did we expect the pandemic to happen? We didn't, but it happened, right? So what if something you would have planned in the last quarter of last financial year, that is January to March, okay, you would have planned something to be done, to be implemented from April to maybe September, maybe 2 quarters. Let's take it this way. Now, 2 quarters, your planning goes kaput. Why? Because March lockdown starts. So April, May, June practically shut down, nothing working. What happens to a plan? So you have to reframe the strategy. But reframing is also very important. Can companies make strategies from a long-term basis? Whether we like it or no, we will have to. And we will also have to take this as a contingency measure, that God forbid some other pandemic happens or some natural disaster happens. So yeah, of course, natural disaster doesn't take so long, really, but something like this also we didn't expect to happen, and it's taken months now, almost 5 months, over 6 months is in progress. So did we expect that? No. But are we going to put a standstill here? No. We are going to certainly make companies, we are certainly going to make new strategies, and from a short-term to long-term perspective. Okay, that's something going forward we need to take into consideration. Regulations impacting business, example, code of wages bill coming, social security bill, personal data protection bill. So all these factors, code of wages bill, again, a lot of organizations will have to look into, because there will be an impact on the organizations, because code of wages bill, as per what, the preliminary aspect is seen, that organizations are more liable to be shelling out more money, directly, indirectly. So that's something also needs to be looked into, right? And of course, personal data protection bill, which is already built, tabled, and going to get not very shortly, as soon as the parliament starts, I believe. Social security bill is also was in news some time back. So these are things we need to, of course, reflect upon going forward, right? How is the business changing? The impact of work. Now, we're talking of 3 W's here: work, workforce, and workplace, right? How is the business changing? That impacts work. Now, when it impacts work, it impacts the workforce as well, capability of company to deliver. Now, that is an impact on workforce itself. From where will it deliver? Obviously, the workplace, right? So that's why it's 3 W's: work, workforce, and workplace, which are the important ingredients, I would say, of the entire reward system per se. Yeah. Okay, we have been seeing what COVID has done. Let's look at some positives from COVID. COVID crisis has accelerated automation and digitization, right? I'm sure most of us agree. We are also, what are we doing here? Having a session online, right? So these are all benefits of, in a way, COVID itself. Otherwise, I think these kind of sessions would normally physically run there, right? If I'm not mistaken. So every Tuesday, I think you used to have the sessions there. I have conducted quite a few sessions in BCS. So I'm quite aware as to it used to be physical format. Now it has changed to digitization. Now we are on Zoom. Okay, anything, everything Zoom. Okay, so upskilling and reskilling the workforce, again, very important. That's again positives from COVID, as to, you are constantly upskilling yourself. Why? Because at times prior to COVID, at least I didn't know how to operate Zoom. Now I'm aware. Okay, so it's skilling yourself, right? So it's upskilling and reskilling. So certain things we would have been skilled earlier. Over a period of time, we have not used it for some time. We might have forgotten certain attributes of that. So we have to reskill. Okay, so you need to constantly upskill and reskill the workforce. So these are positives which are coming out. Diversification from mainstream businesses. At times, your mainstream business, I have also shared in this particular point, there are certain examples of certain companies, how they have diversified from the mainstream business, and they really got a great opportunity during this COVID time, and they have turned around the entire business strategy itself. So, and they looked at this opportunity, they really availed the opportunity and made good profit out of that. So that's something we have to constantly look at also. So diversification from mainstream businesses. Business overhead costs being reduced. A business overhead, I just mentioned this point in the earlier slide that you have reduced the cost of your businesses. Why? Because most of the organizations are not using that kind of workforce currently. Obviously workforce is much trimmer. That means the entire facility is being used as trimmer. Okay, so obviously you may not have all the offices operating currently. If you're not having offices operating currently, the overheads are lesser, right? Your electricity, all that, etc., 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 your manpower, your facilities, all those things, and your, of course, rent, all those factors are looked into. So your overhead certainly comes down. Value-added products and services are being added to your platform. I will just look into that as well. They say, for example, somebody who was making a hand washing soap has started manufacturing dispensers. Started manufacturing. I distinctly remember a dealer of an automobile company. Okay, when the lockdown started, immediately diversified into selling sanitizers. I got the message from the gentleman, the sales manager from that dealer, stating that, sir, these are the products which are being offered. These are sanitizers of 1 liter, 5 liter, and 500 ml, and so on and so forth. Please spread the word. Sir, so we are selling this nowadays. Imagine selling from a car or SUVs or etc., the big size segments. You suddenly come down to selling the sanitizer. Right, so it's certainly not value-added products, but then it's certainly a different alternate. It's like diversifying from a mainstream business, but getting into something so that at least some kind of revenue generation happening, and at least you're able to pay the salaries to your staff, right, over a period of time. So not a bad idea. Support and incentivizing of MSME. Government has done a lot because they have sanctioned a lot of money for MSMEs, I'm sure. Okay, so they can easily avail the loans what they require and start getting, because they were the sector which was hit immediately, right? Once the lockdown started, so their impact could have been reduced. That's why government came up with this heavy package, and that's also a positive from COVID itself. Okay, now as I said, I would share some of the examples. There's a company called Hula Global. Okay, it was a startup kind of organization by Mr. Karan Bose in 2018. Company was founded, and they were an apparel manufacturing company. Now, when the lockdown started, okay, Mr. Bose, saw an opportunity and jumped into making personal protection equipment. Good idea, isn't it? That time, if you distinctly remember, April, May was a time we had a shortage of personal protection equipment. A lot of doctors were not getting that. That was the time he availed the opportunity, got into action because it was a related service in a way, related product and service. So he got into that and started manufacturing that, and that became a big success. It was a turnaround for his company. Possibly he may not have been doing anything much in terms of apparel. Okay, I'm not sure. I'm not checked the balance sheet. You are welcome to do that. Okay, you all are chartered accountants. But he diversified into personal protection equipment, N95 masks, face shields, etc., and did phenomenally well. That's why he is also featured in the magazine and things like that. And that's why I'm giving you an example of his as well. So, that was one of the company. Homescape, another company. Co-working spaces company in Bangalore. Okay, co-working spaces, I'm sure you're aware of, like how these other companies, international companies, are also operating. So they share spaces for your offices. In Bangalore, founded in 2019 by Mr. Khandelwal, Manoj Khandelwal. Now, when the lockdown started, he found an opportunity because people had started working from home. So what he came up with the idea that why not provide furniture to these people working from home? Furniture, not just furniture which suits the requirement, okay, which actually fits in the bill in terms of making their experience as an office in their houses. So as comfortable as they are able to work. Because at times we may not have the right kind of furniture in our house to work from home, right? So at times we may need that. All after working 1 month with a chair which we have in the house, we may break our back. As to strain our back, not really break. The fact remains, So these are possibilities which may happen. So that's why he found a good opportunity, and this made company do very well during the pandemic. See, this is again a turnaround story, right? So from co-working spaces, of course, a related field got into furniture and provided each and every employee there. And Bangalore being a IT space company, so obviously, IT companies anyways have till December more or less, mandated their IT coding and other professionals to work from home. Because I know a lot of people, they have even gone back their house and they're working from remote areas. So, remote areas also a lot of operational activities happening. Now, this was a good idea, again, very well executed. A couple of more companies I would like to say, Sri Sakti and our kitchen utensil maker, a family run business rather than really. Till the time the grandson took over from father and the grandfather, they were actually a kitchen utensil maker in Delhi and Haryana. Started making touchless dispensers and sanitizers as they had to close their Sonipat and other Haryana plants. So again, a diversification, and did well with that. Violin, another company, diversified into biofoggers for fogging solutions, domestic industrial facilities. Again, turnaround, did very well. So these are, some of the examples what I wanted to share with you all, and especially with the fact that, how these entrepreneurs have really kind of availed that opportunity, saw that opportunity happening, and really availed it to the fullest, and really turned around the organization. So, at times, thinking out of the box really helps, and time you have to be very alert, and your presence of mind needs to be there. So how do you find that? Now, way forward. But meanwhile, Ryan, I would also like to know any other questions which has popped up, or you want me to go ahead and then we take it in the end? How does it?
Yeah, as of now there are no questions. I think we can take some at the end.
Okay.
As and when they come.
Great. Okay, now way forward again from here. Now, what is essentially what we need to look at? We've spoken about the various kind of rewards, and two major components of rewards you've seen: growth and development, work culture. Apart from, of course, what you receive, the tangible aspect. Now, employee safety, engagement, and motivation. We have been harping on this, that these are very, very important, very crucial as well. Now, it may be a small firm, which could be a CA firm run by an entrepreneur chartered accountant who's running the firm from a long time and doing very well. They may have an employee strength of maybe 30, 25, 30 people. Now, since most of participants today are chartered accountants, okay, let us look at how an entrepreneur, why I call a practicing chartered accountant an entrepreneur anyway, because he's a professional and he's an entrepreneur, right? He's running his own business in a way of consulting. So how can you really engage your employee and look at the safety and simultaneously also motivate them? So it says culture has played a key role in building engagement even in the time when socially distanced is socially engaged. Now, social engagement could be, as we see through these kind of video sessions, what we keep having, right? There are certain participants who are there today, and possibly we are having insights exchanged. Okay, I'm sharing whatever knowledge I have about this particular subject to you, and I'm sure a lot of other responses coming in. So that's also engaging me. That's also enhancing my knowledge. Now, companies have come up with great initiative by combining technology with human touch. Okay. Now, it's not just about, just technology being upgraded and online sessions being happening. It's to how you're engaging with the employees as well. Now, are you really kind of engaging the employee by adding the human touch to it? How do you add human touch? Now, you may have a 25, 30 employee firm. Okay. As we mentioned earlier, you could engage them through having some lively sessions. It could be some kind of training. You could look at a generic training where possibly you as an observer, as a head of the organization, has seen that these are skills which possibly most of them don't have. So why not, engage somebody and get somebody on board to impart that particular knowledge or skill. What you feel could also be helpful to them in terms of growth as well as organization. Now, these are something which one can certainly look into over a period of time. You may be a smaller. Health safety has been given topmost priority. Again, health safety, whether it's a small or a big office, doesn't matter. You have to have health safety in place. Okay, it's slowly and steadily, of course, even in our country, it's becoming a mandate. Now, today, you must ideally have some kind of training in terms of health. What could that be? Could be fire safety training, could be occupational hazard training, so on and so forth. Right? You could have certain training also listed out, which are mandatory rather. So, and these are essential, absolutely important in any organization. So these are something you can also look into. Introducing programs of mental well-being of employees and keep them socially connected as they are working from home. Yes, of course. Now I understand possibly for a small firm tying up with employee assistance programs with some big firms, so will be a cost factor. I do understand. But nevertheless, what if you can tie up with some kind of individual counselor or a psychologist, and possibly look into some intervention happening, or possibly give your employees an option as to they can always dial a counselor who's available. So and so counselor is available. You can always talk to the counselor. It's completely confidential. Nothing is going to be shared with us. So these are certain intervention you can look into, and it goes, trust me, a long way, because we don't know what's going on in the minds of employees. Okay. Now everything may look hunky-dory, but at the end of the day, there could be some mental fatigue, some stress. Somebody might be facing that, and we don't know what is each and every person's stress level. Now, did we even expect somebody like a Sushant Singh Rajput to commit suicide? We didn't, right? But he did. Okay. Now, by the look of it, could you even a few hours before, if you would have come on the video, make out that he would commit suicide? No, he would. So that's what's going on in the mind of a person you don't know as an employer at times. And your one particular action of tying up with a counselor or a psychologist in your organization. Okay, when I say organization, it's also related to firm. I'm talking about organization which could be a five-member team, or could be a 5,000. Okay, so I'm just, for the help of discussion, I'm using the word organization. So you could consider tying up with that. It will hardly cost you money, okay, because tying a counselor, you can probably give some retainership on a monthly basis. It depends on what is the staff strength. It could be 25, 30, it could be, then you may quarterly pay somebody or things like that. See, that is something you have to figure out with the counselors and psychologists whom you are engaging with. But nevertheless, it's certainly a positive step going forward, because these kind of unprecedented events, when they happen in life, something like a COVID-19, which nobody expected, it creates a lot of stress level, creates a lot of conflict within ourselves. And to deal with that, at times we ourselves are not good enough or competent enough. So we need some professionals to help us out. And that's where these kind of interventions do help. On the lighter side, we have a couple of jokes there. Your compensation will be based on achieving these goals. Awesome. It's like written permission to ignore everything else you ask me to do. So, yeah, so these are certain things which going forward we have to consider. Now, in terms of talent, leadership, and effective workforce, you have to look at introducing new forms of training programs to help employees upskill and hone their skill sets. Okay. Mentioned, now here, you being out of the box thinker, you being engaging some kind of professionals and looking at what could be the best. Now, today, every organization may feel, okay, like employees are working from home, a lot of people might be stressed, so let's have a program on stress management, right? So they may kind of do an online session on stress management. Okay, that's one form of. Some people may do certain functional programs. Okay, now to enhance the talent. Now, enhance the talent could be either functional or behavioral. Now, depends on what you're looking at. Now, leadership is another issue, dimension when you're looking at honing the skill set. Leadership, you may, as I mentioned right in the beginning of my presentation, that when you're looking at an employee's career growth over a period of time, maybe 5 years, 10 years hence, right? So you're going to map that career growth of an employee. Now, 5 years hence, you may want an employee who's already worked only for 4 years now, and 5 years hence, you are looking at the person as maybe becoming a CFO of your organization. Okay, just for the discussion purpose. Now, if at all you're looking at a person becoming a CFO, that means he needs to have certain leadership traits, right? Because he's going to head a particular finance department itself, entire finance, who will liaise current on an ongoing basis with the CEOs of the firm, with the HR head, and they all will be working in sync, and the business heads, of course. So, if that being the case, you feel that somewhere certain attributes of this person, although he's a great performer, feel certain leadership skill sets can be enhanced. Okay, now you will start framing certain programs. Now that's an effective way of looking at it. You know, how do you look at a career graph of a person, and then accordingly start those interventions from professionals. You know, possibly he can have a one-to-one mentoring sessions, coaching sessions. You could have leadership training programs. You can send him off-site, on-site to certain leadership program. You can send him some institute. A lot of these IIMs and ISPs are conducting a lot of leadership program or a lot of management institute. So there are various modes, ways and modes of looking at things and sending. Counseling sessions are being organized. Of course, counseling sessions are being organized in terms of learning. We've already talked about this is something a firm can also look at, you know, tying up with certain counselors. If at all you have not been trying that, it's a good idea way forward. You know, try doing that. It does help in terms of encouraging the employees. It does help in the entire atmosphere of your organization. So try doing that. Okay, it's not much of an investment, as I said. At least try before you say no to something. Doing away with unproductive things which were part of earlier physical work time, thus becoming more productive, right? So unproductive things, as in you probably had a office running completely. Okay, you knew people used to travel that far, go there, and then, you know, half the time if they're tired completely, then they'll take some time to get back to work, and so on. So a lot of unproductive things, time wasters, I would say, which were part of earlier physical time, thus becoming more productive. How is it becoming more productive? Is simply because work from home, you have more time. But times, you know, at 11 o'clock also you find somebody working in the night. At times, you know, I really wonder, you know, people say that, oh, work from home, okay, now it's cool for you. I think the work has increased from work from home, right? So I've seen, you know, at times people working even till 11 o'clock. Oh my God, I've become more busy. In fact, HR professionals, especially one of my friends, he's a HR head of some shipping company. He's always on the call. He keeps saying, oh my God, yeah, a lot of work. Why? Because the ships, you know, are sailing, they're stranded somewhere. Some people have to go off board, some people have to come on board, and this guy is always on the call trying to tackle their family, and because for months they're out together, right? The sailors who are sailing in the merchant navy as the merchant navy officials in the vehicle. So a lot of things are happening. So at times, you know, physical work time, which was earlier there, which at times became time wasters, become more productive, I may say. Virtual forums have been introduced to connect with the employees. Now their virtual forums have been introduced to connect with the employees. Again, you know, how as times even the CEOs, the MDs of the organizations are also communicating with the labor force in the plants, okay, and trying to understand their concern, okay, which earlier in physical format may not have been that possible, right? An MD or a CEO every time cannot go to a plant and start understanding the grievances. They had their line managers or possibly anybody else who used to report to. So now they can directly, through broadcasts and things like that from virtual forums, they can connect with them. So that's again a boom. Collaborative thinking have started trending. Okay, Now, when you talk about collaborative thinking is, all the businesses have together started thinking as to what is the way next. Earlier in isolation, it should be think. Now it's more of collaboration. Okay, this small section of joke again. Our CEO asked me to put, Gilbert, our CEO asked me to put you on the management fast track. Why does he hate me so much? He didn't say, but I have a lot of guesses if you want to hear them. Right? So, here again, I would only reiterate that rewards are for people who not just work in the organization, but also for people to understand that who all are rewarding are also equally rewarded back, right? So it's not just the employees which benefit, it's also the employer which who will benefit over a longer period of time. And I'm sure going forward, we will have a lot of plans, a lot of strategies, which possibly will be people-centric, people-oriented, and which will also include in the part of the reward as well. And with that, on that note, I would like to thank each one of you. And over here, I would like to take certain also questions from you before that. But work from home again has become a new hybrid model, as I said. Before that, to motivate employees to travel and work from office plant, these are, of course, we have more or less covered, right? Employees are encouraged to work on the emotional, mental, and physical wellness. Meanwhile, please feel free to ask certain questions. Okay, connecting with employees, family, business strategy are being communicated to maintain focus on a positive market recovery. So these are some initiatives taken by organization, I would say, to motivate employees to travel and work from office. Plant COVID-19 bonus was ideated. Okay, now they have motivated employees to, or who operate from office by COVID-19 bonus, which was initiated. As employees are encouraged to work in the emotional, mental, and physical wellness. We already covered that. Connecting with employees, family. This is also a very important aspect, friends, because at times, okay, we deal with employees, but what about their families? At times, it's good idea now, since you don't have to be physically there, through virtual mode you can easily connect with at times families also, and that goes a long way. So it's also part of the entire growth and development work culture what you're looking in the organization. Business strategy are being communicated to maintain focus on a positive market recovery, right? So of course your future strategy is what is going to be is being communicated to maintain focus on market recovery, communicated to employees as well. Yeah, thank you with that. And I would be happy, Ryan, if there are any questions, if anything somebody would like to share or add on to what I have already presented, I'll be more than happy.
Yeah, so I think there is one person who's seeking a confirmation on his view. I think so. He says that post-COVID, personal growth will be more important than organizational growth. Teamwork, a challenging concept. Now with social distancing norm, downsizing of businesses, unemployment and zero-based remuneration, renegotiation just as our fees are zero-based negotiation.
Okay. So essentially he's telling that people development will be all the more important is what I gather. Of course, it may be in parts what he just asked me, but essentially to people development, in fact, it's not just post-COVID. I would say it was always essential. Okay, now yes, the realization will be all the more because at times you've gone into isolation. You're not able to meet people. You're not able to greet people, right? So that's why, I've always, if you look through my entire presentation, I've always kind of emphasizing the fact of mental well-being, counseling, people engagement. These are words which came out in my presentation pretty prominently, which should have been there. Okay, it's not that it's something alien which we are going to implement now, but now all the more, as he rightly said, if people development will be there because of course it's an isolation. You're working from home, as he rightly said. And what was the second part, Ryan?
Yeah,
just to add on to that, he added some.
Yeah, so he said teamwork a challenging concept now with social distancing norm, downsizing of businesses, unemployment and zero-based remuneration, renegotiation just as our fees are zero-based negotiation.
Hmm. Now, teamwork, I wouldn't say it's a challenge. Okay, it becomes more now on virtual, right? But teamwork can still be there, right? Yes, of course, if you're talking about, meeting physically people, 10 people sitting in a room and then having a teamwork, so that possible. But I think teamwork is still going on in an organization. Say, for example, let's take a HR team. Every day when they're working, they are on virtual mode. Okay, the same function is going on. Okay, so teamwork, I don't think has come down drastically. Yes, if you look at what he's also right in the perspective is that yes, if you you're not able to meet those people for months, agreed. If that is something he or she is trying to indicate, but teamwork will go ahead. It will not be that it will reduce. I don't think that. In fact, now is the time to have all the more. The teamwork is more essential now. Okay, because as I said, the last point in the last slide, if you just look at, okay, business strategy are being communicated to maintain focus, positive market recovery. That means more communication is happening from a top leadership downward. Why is that happening? Of course, so now it's a bigger team which is being formed. Okay, so it's not just that you are getting rid of teamwork. People development, yes, it has to get emphasis all the more. As I said, why? Because of the fact that there is a lot of stresses as you're working from home. At times you're working till late, you're isolated, you don't meet, you don't see people, you don't have your colleagues around you, you cannot gossip. so these are factors probably at times can be missed, and therefore it needs to be done that. And of course, business downsizing, as he's mentioning, or possibly, see again, how do we look at a glass half full or half empty is something we have to decide. Now we look at something which is going to get down. That's our thought process. We look at some other opportunities coming in. That's also our thought process, right? I gave you at least 4 to 5 examples of small scale industries. Okay, they were just startups. One is as nascent as 2018. How it turned around the company, right? So we have to think, as I emphasized earlier, out of box. We have to think as to how do we grow. Okay, now I'm sure I'll just take an example of chartered accountant firm. Chartered accountant firms are practicing in a particular, say they are tax experts. They are into more of taxation, right? That's their core focus. Now it's time for you to look at something beyond that also, possibly, see where the opportunity is coming. Now with this kind of a scenario, do you think audit is lucrative? Why don't try and delve into that aspect? It's just thought, I'm not an expert, I'm just giving certain ideas over here. Now you all are experts in your field, you all know best. I'm just throwing certain out of the box thinking. Now that is something you have to decide what is an area you have to, or possibly you can get into something like transfer pricing or international taxation. You have various, you all are better judges. So these are something you can hone your skills over a period of time in some other sector, right? So what's wrong? At the end of the day, you running a firm have to see some profitability, right? Everyone is looking at that. Your balance sheet has to show positive at the end of the day. So look at that. Now downsizing again is one aspect. Now can you engage those same employees in a different manner, okay, and still retain them without downsizing is something you have to analyze, okay, and formulate your strategy based on that. Okay, it's a very misnomer. It's a big misnomer, I would say. Oh, the bad time will make so many people redundant. That's the easiest way to go. But the challenge there is, can you retain those people and see to it that they kind of help you out in some other ways? And probably you look at a diversification. So that's something to look at. Of course, each businesses are different. You have to analyze from a different perspective as well. So these are my thoughts and what I wanted to share upon what the gentleman or lady just shared. Anything else apart from that which I wouldn't have answered, Ryan, because it was
No, I think, yeah, that's about it. I think we're running out of time also now. I think so. I think that's about it.
any other
So
questions or suggestions or
so there is one question. If you can, quickly maybe just
please.
pick it up. How does one deal with being tired and exhausted 24/7 working on laptops? Even AGMs, EGMs are held online.
Start running. On the lighter side, yes, but try and find out some time to yourself. At the end of the day, it's your life. Life is not just about working, working, and working. So you will have to see. We emphasize work-life balance. What does that mean? If your life is not balanced, it's just work. That means you're just concentrating on one sector. Well, you may like to do painting, you may like to do yoga, you may like to do exercise, you may like to do, some kind of running, swimming, jogging. Of course, swimming is not possible these days, but yeah, cycling and running is possible because I keep doing that. But there are various means and ways and means. Attend certain sessions. You have so many courses, almost free nowadays online. So enroll for that. Do some singing. A lot of singing. I think apps are there. So you have to find out what your passion is. At times, I do agree, Ryan, and with due respect to the gentleman or lady who's posted this question, is we forget what our passion is because we have only kind of devoted in our work, right? So at times, if you ask them what is your interest, they will take some hours to think as to what is the interest. They'll have to delve down deeper and try to find out, okay, what is my passion actually? What do I like? And things like that. So these are something. It's good time to introspect and start doing that because life is once and zindagi nahi milegi dobara. As of now, we don't know if reincarnation is there or not. Right? So that was the shortest possible way I could answer that, if at all I answered it.
No, I think it was a very wonderful session. I must say you covered the aspects absolutely wonderfully, and it was amazing to hear you in person. So I mean, just to close the session, I would request if Gracie could come in and propose a hearty vote of thanks with the closing remarks. Gracie?
Unmute. Hello.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
You hear me?
Yes.
Yeah. Good evening, everyone. On behalf of BCAS, thanks to Shamlata for a wonderful presentation on impact of pandemic on rewards. Shamlata has taken a lot of time and efforts and worked on presenting this topic. Corona and pandemic are still strange to us. Hardly any of us really know much about the current situation. There is fear and uncertainty, and we really do not know about how salaries and income are affected for different individuals. It differs from person to person and company to company, and different businesses have different experience. Shamlata has unfolded the mystery of impact of pandemic on rewards in the best possible way. Hope it will help you in throwing light on answering many questions we have. Thanks to the participants and Chairman Govind, President Suhas, Co-Chairman Krishna Kumar, Conveners Ryan Mahindra, Events Management Javed Bilal, and all others who have contributed to making this 2-hour session happen. Let us give him a silent applause.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Gracie,
So
would you like to also take up the announcements?
Our next meeting will be on 8th September on Zero Medicine. So everyone, please, when you're registering, give your proper name, email ID, and telephone number. And register at least one day before so that the link goes to you and you can be comfortable to log in. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much, Gracie. I would like to take this opportunity to once again thank Sham for this wonderful session that he has taken today. It has been a pleasure to hear you in person. And I would like to thank everybody here and including the participants for attending the session. Do make it for the next session. It's another exciting and interesting one. Till then, have a good evening and good night.
Thank you, Gracie. Thank you, Ryan. Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you.